You're listening to Release Your Resistance with Bex Beltran, episode 106. Welcome to Release Your Resistance. This is Bex. The only reason why any of us don't have what we want in life is because of our own resistance. Right now, I'm learning how to recognize and release my resistance, and this podcast tells you how you can release your resistance so that you can live the exact life that you want. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Release Your Resistance. I am so glad that you are back to hear today's guest interview. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. So glad that you found Release Your Resistance. I cannot wait for you to hear today's episode, as well as hopefully go back and listen to some of the prior episodes of this podcast. But today I have a treat for you and for me. We have a guest interview with the amazing Gemma Lumicisi. She is an author, podcaster, business coach, copywriter, and marketer, and she has a unique perspective on the world at large. Deciding that she was done with dull, she left a brilliant corporate job to pursue her own business and create life her way. And now she helps other women do the same thing and discover what it is they truly want so they can go after it. Let's go to the interview. Hi, Jenna. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited to talk with you today because we met a few months ago now and we've had a few conversations, and every single one of our conversations has just been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So to let everyone in on you, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Gemma and I run my own business, and I'm a copywriter and a marketer. But now mainly I work as a copywriter coach and a business coach. I work mainly with women, helping them, just be themselves in their business, because that's something I truly believe works in a way to grow your business and grow yourself. And I always say, if you really want to learn who you are, start a business. And if not, you don't have to, but it really is such a time to bring so much out in you without you knowing. So the business coaching I do is super personal within what's truly going on in your brain. And I absolutely love that. And I love helping people in that way. And I've just said it's all about using yourself as your marketing strategy, as your strategy through life.
Yeah. And I love that you offer that for people who are starting their businesses or working on their businesses. But I also love that you just said that it's a strategy for life too. Yeah. Earlier in the introduction, I mentioned that you are a published author. So you have a book called Done with Dull. Your book shares how we can become magnetic, attractive, and unconventionally us, and we can discover our long-buried pre-corporate self and get the skills that we need to connect with and attract people, experiences, clients, maybe other businesses. In the book, we can learn about how we can share our true self without oversharing. We can learn how to overcome fear of being authentic, and we can harness the power of discomfort so that we can be real with people. So how has resistance shown up for you as you did all of that for yourself and then ended up writing a book about it?
Oh goodness. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Within business, I guess, I started realizing that I had two Gemmas going on. So I felt like I was me, and then I was business me. It's like they were two different people. And after a while I was like, hang on, what's going on here? This doesn't seem right. And I was really noticing it, like as a copywriter, I was really noticing it within my copy. And when I was reading it, and I mean the copy I was writing for myself, for my own business, quite really sound like me. I feel as though I'm holding back in this. And that's when I really discovered how common that is to do it. And of course, for me, that actually being years of my career, so something that I've done for a long time, then of course I started beating myself up and being like, oh my God, who do you think you are? You can't even write anymore and blah, 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 all of that stuff.
Wow. I think we can all relate. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So all of that went on. You know, I never had an issue doing it, of course, for my clients, but for me, I'm like something's not right. And I realized I was holding myself back from being me, and that's where the resistance come in, because I was resisting myself because I had this idea and this perception that me as a person isn't really how you should be in
Mm.
business. You know, I need to be acting another way and more professional, more this and more that. And if I show who I truly am, that's just not what business is about. So I was resisting myself for so long within my business. And then when I realized that and worked super hard through that, I realized I've done it a lot throughout my life. So
Interesting.
where it mainly related to was my corporate career. And that's why
Mm.
that's within the book as well.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah.
think you were in your corporate career as well? You weren't showing up as authentically Gemma, the true you?
No way.
Okay. For the
Corporate
same reason?
Australia
Yeah.
is everyone needs to be the same.
Okay.
We don't like different, we don't like ideas. You've got a new idea, not interested. You know, we don't like the loud, the having fun, the just me, you know,
Mm.
it's, yeah. So I just completely changed who I was to fit in, and I just lost myself within corporate career, you know,
Mm.
and it was the same thing. It was like I was these two different people, and it was just, I never realized that mismatch, that push pull was
Yeah.
resistance. Like I had no idea what that feeling was, you know.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, and when you resist being yourself, it feels terrible.
It really
Like,
does. And it's so inauthentic and it's
it
just
is.
so out of
Yeah.
your own skin, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
What flipped the switch for you, or how were you able to notice that tension and that push and pull and then work your way through it?
Yeah, it certainly doesn't happen overnight,
No?
but I started figuring out, I did it slowly, and it's actually one of my copywriting methods I use with my clients, to start to pull little bits and pieces of me out, of my personality. So asking friends, like, how would you describe me? And asking friends and family, you know, what are things that I say? You know, everyone sort of has phrases or words or tendencies, sentences that sort of makes them them. So
Hmm.
I started digging those bits and pieces out. Let's start to maybe put this in my copy. And that's how I can start to like speckle me out there, you know.
Hmm.
A big turning point for me was writing a blog that had a fair few swear words in it. So I'm like, oh, and the resistance to press publish on that. Oh my gosh. But I am a swearer, you know.
That's who you are. Yeah.
Yes, that's another thing I was holding back on as well. And I'm like, oh, let's just do that. Let's do the big scary thing. So that was great. And of course, what happened? Nothing.
The police didn't come knocking on your door the very
They
next day.
didn't.
Okay.
No. Isn't that amazing? I was not arrested. Yeah, it was great. You know, it's so interesting the things we hold ourselves back from
Hmm.
because we're scared of something that will most likely never ever happen.
Right.
You know. And then I created this another little exercise. I'm like, what's 5 things that I love? So I wrote that down, and it could have been anything. So for me, it was like leopard print.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, travel, cooking, like those sorts, like what exercise, the things that I love. And then I'm like, what sort of metaphors could I pull out from these 5 things that I love with my values? So I'm like, 5 things that I love, 5 values, and then start to look for metaphors. And that would be such a great way to start to really release who I am and my
Mm.
personality. So that's why I really started with like the leopard print, right? So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, there has to be metaphors in there, you know, like don't blend in, have all the same
Okay.
stripes as a zebra, like
Right.
be that, you know, be that weird tiger with the different stripes. Like think like just really sort of random things like that. And that's actually another part of resistance for me because I've always been such an individual, and I've always been just say how it is and do it my way. And if, you know, I'm very true to myself. Someone's like, oh, no, don't do it that way. I'm like, no, pretty sure we're going to do it my way. And like,
Yeah.
I really want to try it this way, you know, and that's been a big resistance thing for me as well, because I always thought, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like, everyone else does it this way. I do it this way, you know, and that's where I had a whole bunch of resistance as well, trying to to blend in instead
Yes.
of standing out. And that caused pain, a lot of pain. So it
Yeah.
was really bringing all of that together. And that's really a huge thing for me as well, to stand out, and not blend
Totally.
in.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I love it. It goes along with the title of your book, Done with Dull.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love,
Yeah.
as you were describing it, I thought to myself, well, if her brain was telling her that everyone is the same and I'm the only one who's different, by you being the same, you were kind of promoting that lie for everyone else who also felt, well, I'm the only one who's different. No one else is different. But by you standing out, that maybe gave someone else some inspiration to think, oh, Gemma can have leopard print in her branding. She can use a tiger analogy when she's writing copy.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just start with those small steps, and then
Mm,
it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and now I just write freely.
I
Whatever's in my
love it.
brain, off I go. I don't even care. I don't even think about it. Whereas before was resisting doing that
Yeah.
all the time. And it's all of those thoughts that you sort of find in your head, like, oh, what will people say? And you can't say that, and that's not businessy, or that's not appropriate.
Yeah. One of the examples I always give when I describe what I do as a resistance coach is the thought that we think, oh, people won't like it if I. And so, yeah, that's a common thing that we probably, if we really asked ourselves, am I really concerned what other people would think? We always say, oh, no, of course not. I'm not. But if we really check then and say, well, am I doing these things regardless of people will think? It turns out we're not doing them because we're.
It's so, yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I've done that my whole life. Like, oh, I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say. Really? If
Uh-huh.
I did, I think it's just so innately in us, in our biology, in our
Yeah,
DNA, that we don't even realize that we do it. We really do have this deep fear of being kicked out of a pack,
totally.
of standing out, of being different. We need to be the same. And we do it, I think, without realizing, as much as we have our human part of our brain, we're like, no, I want to do it my way. And I am an individual. There is still that part. And it's so interesting you say that it's 100% where that resistance comes up. It's just like this
Yeah.
push, pull,
Yes.
and it's like you take that one step forward, but it's like all of these sort of go backwards again. And that's where you get stuck again, and you just resist doing it. And it feels so resisting in your body.
Yeah.
Wow. It's almost, for me, it's almost like I feel like my rib cage sort of moves over, closes over.
Protective, right? You want to protect yourself. Yeah. Well,
Totally.
that is so helpful that you pointed that out, because I think if other people are hearing it and thinking, well, I don't know if I really have that, or when we think about it and we think, oh, yes, she's right. I also have not done the thing, or, oh, she's right. I do find myself pulling in on myself to protect myself. Then we can kind of recognize these instances of resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to sort of look at you doing it, and of course not judge the behavior or any of that, or be like, oh my God, how could you do that? Like, don't even worry about that. But if you can just pick up these little bits and pieces, and being like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Is this resistance?
Mm-hmm.
If it is, what am I resisting? Because I
Yeah.
did it for years without realizing,
Well, yeah, and we don't until someone points it out to us or until we learn about it. So is this something that you help your clients with? Do you find them resisting when you offer them suggestions or ideas about what they can do in their business or in their lives or on their copy? And they think, oh, no, 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 I would never, or I could never. Do you help them work through that?
Yeah, absolutely. A copy is it's such an interesting thing. So such a big resistance that I found is people don't really realize how scary putting stuff out in the world actually is.
Right. Someone might read it. Someone
Right?
might see it and know me and know that I
Someone
put it
might
out
see it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what happens. And for me, a big turning point and realizing is because I'm a traveler, and I've traveled 63 countries, and most of them on my own. I've never had an issue with fear, with anything. So this was another part of my resistance, because I thought, oh, I'm this big fearless person that's not scared of anything. But what I discovered, it's like that was awareness of fear. So if I'm in a country in Central America that's got a reputation of being a super dangerous country, not the safest for females, not the safest for someone that doesn't speak Spanish, it's like I had this awareness, right? It's like, okay, you should be alert right now. You should fear,
Okay, right.
So I took the steps to, protect myself and be aware of my surroundings and all of that. So I was aware of that fear, but what I didn't know, the things I was holding myself back from doing in my business is because I was scared. Like I had no idea that it's the same feeling that prevents us from doing things. It's the same as if you're holding stuff back from writing it in your copy, it's because you're scared of something. Like it's almost that plain and simple. And it's because if you think about us, like a lot of anthropologists will say that as humans, we were never really meant to be in groups of people more than like 300 at the utmost.
Right.
Anything after that, we collapse. Like anything after that, we need structure, we need organization, we need, it's like a large business with hierarchies, and countries need organizations, HR departments, like something needs to keep us in order, So if you're thinking about, I don't know, doing a Facebook Live or putting a blog out or even a podcast, anything it might be with more than 300 people, like you've literally got anyone with internet access that can see that.
Right.
That is a lot of damn people.
Yes.
So there's a lot of fear. And what I didn't know is that's what was holding me back. It was fear. You can stand on a ledge with a bungee rope attached to you and be like, okay, yep, I probably should be scared of this. It's like you're actively aware. But when we're doing something as little as pressing publish on a blog post, we have no idea that it's the same sort of feelings, and fear stops us from doing stuff. And it's more than that. It's, judgment. What will people say? What will they do? I can't be myself. I won't fit in. Like it just goes on and on and on. So that's what I really help my clients with. And it's more so than just business. That infiltrates into your life. Like, are you scared of being honest with someone because of the same reason? Are you blending in or just saying what they want to hear because you're scared of what may happen? You're scared of showing who you really are, because sometimes if you show your authentic self, yes, some people won't like that. So people go through their whole lives not really being true to themselves, feeling terrible.
Yeah.
Because they're scared of what may happen.
That fear can be equally as uncomfortable as the discomfort of rejection or, embarrassment. I did have this happen to me in this past week. Someone asked me for something, and in my mind, it was immediate no. Like, no, I'm not doing that. No. But then I had to deliver the no. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to be the one who says no. And what is this person going to think when I tell them no? And how can I say no, but yes, or no, but it's okay? Or, I was trying to control for so many things. And that felt so uncomfortable for the whole time that I was debating with myself how I was going to tell the person the answer, which was definitely one of two answers. It was either going to be yes or no. This was not a big shock or surprise, but I was making it into a huge thing. So finally I said, okay, actually, no. And the response was like, okay, thanks for letting me know. I had made it into this huge drama for myself about how I would deliver this bad news.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I really help people with that, like being true to yourself. It can feel amazing, can also feel really uncomfortable, so to actually really be who you are at your core actually isn't that easy, especially if, it's different, or if it's not what society likes or whatever that may be. It's not the easiest thing to do, and to really stand your ground and do it, whether it's in business or life. And I really help my clients do that, and just little bit by bit.
Yeah, I think
once you start working through it in your business, you can start do it in your life.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's bit by bit, like you said. And once you get started doing it, it can kind of expand. Is that what you found as well? That then it gets easier and faster and less resistance and just more natural.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I tend to be super loud.
Okay.
And I've always, again, held myself back from that because I don't know, again, I stand out, or I'll annoy people, or people hate me, or whatever, whatever goes on in our brains. When I exercise, I'm like triple as I don't care anymore. I'm like, no, if that's me, if I'm in the middle of a gym class and I'm like swearing and screaming and don't care, why should I hold myself back? If that's me, that's me.
You absolutely should not. That's right. Sometimes people are loud in the world. Why not be you? Yes.
Exactly. So, but that took me a long time to do as well, but little by little, well, that's it. why should other people be truly who they are and I shouldn't? Like, no.
Totally. Right? Yeah. I just want to get that injected into my brain and my blood and
Yeah,
then just live it all the time. If I agree that people are different in the world, why can't I also be different? If I agree that
mhm,
people get to act however they want to act, I also get that privilege, right? Yeah.
absolutely. And no, not everyone will like you. And why would you want everyone to like you?
It's
Again, it's
impossible.
yeah, it's the same as business.
Hmm.
People freak out and they'll be like, oh, well, this person won't become my client. It's like, well, you don't actually want that person. You would want someone to be the all lifer, they're
Yes.
all in, like they want to
Right.
be with you for life, love you for life. Isn't that the same as what you want in
In
life?
life, right? As far as friends and family and people that I spend time with. Yeah.
Why would you want to be around someone that isn't really all in on you?
Yeah. I like to think of it sometimes as math, and I like to think, okay, so I don't know what the current number is, but let's say there are 7 billion people on the planet. What would be an acceptable number of that 7 billion that would not like me and I would be okay with it? Like, I don't
I like
expect
that.
7 billion people to like me. I am totally fine if 7 billion people do not know me and don't appreciate my work. It's so fine. If 100 of them do, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love these perspectives. I love your experiences. It's so helpful. And so now I just want to get more personal information with you too, if you want to share. So, are you a journaler?
I am, yes.
Okay, tell us about your journaling practice.
Yeah, of course. And I dare say journaling definitely helped me with my me being me
Mm-hmm.
journey. But it's funny if for someone who traveled for so long or has traveled so much, I didn't journal at that time. And I really wish that I had. So that's a bit of a shame. I remember when I was in Egypt, I started writing some things down and stuff. And then I read them about a year later. I dug them out of my suitcase and I was like, wow, that's so super interesting. I wish I had written more of what was actually going through my head at the time. So when I came home, that was when I was away for about 3 years at that time. When I came home, I'm like, I'm going to start journaling and doing all of that. So, it's okay. I don't need the regrets of all of that.
No,
Lucky
of
for
course.
me, I
Yeah.
have a super good memory. So I do
Good.
remember
Yes.
most of it, right? A good friend of mine says that I have a brain the size of a planet. So for me, journaling is really important to just get all of the crap out sometimes because
Yes.
sometimes I feel as though there's just too much in there. My brain needs a break, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For me, journaling, yeah, it helps with just downloading what's in there at the time, getting sort of sorting through the rubbish,
Yes.
and then just really writing about me, how I'm feeling, what's going on. And that for me often leads into me creating all sorts of stuff, having all of these ideas. So I have all sorts of journals. My everyday calendar, I use Google, so I have that as a calendar. Then I have 2 diaries. I have one diary that has a page for each day because I like to write so much about each day. Then my second diary is per week. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can,
Week at a
double page
glance.
spread of,
Yes.
of the week, a week in advance. So I have that. Then I have my wellness journal. Then I have my ideas book. And then I have my actual journal where I do all of my downloads and everything. So there's a lot going on there.
Sounds like
So
the complete normal amount to me. In fact, you
yeah,
might be too
right.
short, actually, now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, right. So yes, I am a journaler.
Yes, I love it. And so you use a Google Calendar, but you also appreciate putting pen to paper, it sounds
I
like.
have to do both. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
need to do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I love
Yeah.
that. Do you have
Yeah.
any other personal development or self-care practices along with journaling?
Yeah, for sure. Meditation's a big one for me. And that came as something new. So I've always thought about meditation. I've always wanted to do it. Read a lot of Eastern philosophy stuff, or I've read a lot of books about Buddhism. And I've always understood. I'm like, oh, this thing looks like it could be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always wanted, I guess I've been like meditation curious, but
Okay.
me being me, it's just like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do it. Last year I injured myself and it was no, I don't know, lockdown 10.0 here. Like, who knows how many lockdowns we've had. It was just one after the other. So it was in the August last year lockdown, whatever that was. Obviously, I couldn't exercise. There was nothing I could do. So I'm like, this is my sign. And that I just little by little every day just this is what we're going to do instead of exercising. And
Mm.
because I can't leave the house, I can't do anything, I can't see any friends, there's nothing that can be done. need to take this on. So I do meditate daily, and for me, running is very much self-care. So it's quite interesting when I run, things that pop into my head as well. Yeah. So meditation, journaling, running. Yeah.
Going back to the meditation too, because we have kind of parallel paths a little bit, where I also was meditating curious and read all the things, but then I thought, oh, it's not for me, or I don't know, or I've tried it and it didn't work. Was there a specific resource or a specific thought that you practice thinking in order to help you get from, I haven't been able to meditate, or I haven't used it yet, to now it's like a non-negotiable, I definitely want to do this?
I wanted to create it into a habit. So I followed, I guess, how you create habits. You know, with a habit, we have, a cue, and then a routine, and then a reward. I really just sort of did that. And I just, even if I just sat there for 10 minutes and stared at the wall, right? I just wanted to get into the routine of having my body do that. So it was a very slow process.
Okay.
But the mindset of it was, it's something I do really want to do. And it's something I really want to be able to actively do. So I just did that every day. And then it became longer. And then when I was ready, I started doing some guided ones. And then I would listen to the guided ones. And then it just kept going every day. And that 10 minutes sometimes went into like hour-long meditation. So it's just that little bit by little bit every day. And for me, I find if you do it at the same time, you just get your body and your brain into that routine. And your body and your brain's like, oh, this is what we do at this time. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's been my experience too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's non-negotiable because I am so high energy and I do such high physical exercise. I do need to really actively switch myself off awake. Not my sleeping time during the day. I need that downtime. My other thing is yoga. I do yoga daily as well. That almost merges in. And it is funny though, because I've done yoga for years and everyone's like, oh my God, like, why would you do yoga and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, because I get to switch my brain off. I get to just stare and focus. So for so long, I didn't actually realize what I really was doing was a form of meditation,
Yes.
So for me, a non-negotiable is that I need to actively switch off when I'm awake, because we never take that time to just stop for a minute.
Yeah. And
we have such busy lives.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've definitely made it intentional and you've made it work for you and you believe in the benefits of it. So yeah, I totally see how you worked that into your existing structure and your existing lifestyle so that you could get the benefits.
Yeah.
Do you have a mantra?
Yeah, I actually do for this year, and it sort of happened by default. So when I was looking at like goals for this year and plans and all of that, one thing, and it started a bit last year as well, especially with the meditation, I'm often not good at looking after myself. I'm very mean to myself. I push myself, all of the things, which is great because, I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, it got me to do all these 100 million things that I've achieved. What if I was kind to myself? I wonder what we could do then. So my mantra for this year actually is, and be kind to yourself. So I add that on to anything. I've added that on to all of my goals. If something's sort of going on in my head, I'll add it on. I'll be like, and be kind to yourself, Gemma. So that's my mantra for this year, is to look after myself really. And it's that sentence. So if I find that maybe I'm tired or something's going on, I'll just be like, all right, and be kind to yourself. So I'll sit down and be like, am I looking after myself right now?
Oh, I love everything about that mantra because of the word and. It doesn't negate what your brain is telling you, like complete this project or do these 10 things or show up to this place. Of course, you're going to do that. You're a driven person. You thrive on productivity and creation. So of course, you're going to do all of that and be kind to yourself. It's just such a perfect addition.
Yeah, it really just sort of fell to me and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And it was like a mantra by default.
Yeah. So if anyone is listening to this thinking, oh, I'm going to adopt that, we want to hear about it, right? So we want to hear if you do that, either comment on the show notes for this episode or find Gemma on social, which we'll talk about here in a moment, or somehow let us know, because I think that is a brilliant mantra. And I think I want to also adopt it for myself. And be kind to yourself. Oh, so
Yeah.
good. Well, what's coming up for you next, and where can people find you if they want to report back to you about the mantra or
Yeah,
anything
absolutely.
else? Yeah.
Yeah. What's coming up for me next? Oh, goodness. I've always got all sorts of things going on. At the moment, it's, coaching and my current coaching program. So that's what's going on at the moment. There is a potential for a book too. So that,
Okay.
yeah. So
Any
that should
ideas on
be.
what the topic or title would be? Or you
No,
can't
I
spill
don't.
it yet? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the title would be, but for some reason, ready for head turning seems to be in my.
I like it.
Yeah, that seems to be sort of settling. It's like, you've done with doll, now you're ready for head
Right.
turning.
Oh, what a perfect sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of spinning around, but that's
Mhm.
what's new for me. But yeah, the main thing that's new for me is just coaching my wonderful clients. I've still got my copywriting course that goes, all of those things, and it's
Yes.
wonderful. But yeah, where you can find me, I'm always floating around Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's all under my business name. So my business name is Contently Driven. You can find me on Instagram under my name, on LinkedIn. I'm not there that often, but Instagram, Facebook, always the best place to find me. And of course, you can go to my website, which is www.contentlydriven.com.
Nice. Easy. And I love that the brand name Contently Driven brings in the word content, like
Mm-hmm.
writing content, but also content. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. And driven, which we just talked about. You're a very driven person. Like, what a perfect name.
Yeah, that's how it all sort of came about because I am very driven as well. And it's like, how can I be content about being driven? And then it just came up and I'm like, oh my God, content. Oh my God, it's everything. This name is everything. So it's
It
like,
is.
yeah. So it almost could be, maybe that's my third book, Be Contently Driven.
Why
Oh, how good is
not?
that?
There you go. I love it. Yes, you've got to do three. If you're going to do one, might as well two. If you're going to do two, you have to do three. So,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so
That should be the
wonderful.
finisher of being contently driven. Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
love
because
this. There
that
we
could be
go.
a
You heard it
memoir
here
then, right?
first.
Yeah. Yes, you
Yeah.
had heard it here first. Love it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part
So,
memoir.
and you mentioned you have a copywriting course and you work with clients. Do you work with clients one-on-one or in groups? How
Yes.
do you do that?
I'm one-on-one. I love working personally
Mm,
with clients. I have a program that's called Freedom to Coach, and that is very specific on launching your business. So if you're
okay.
sort of new to that, and it's sort of, like giving you the freedom to coach. So teaching you all of the steps to put in place so you can just get back and keep on coaching, right?
Nice.
But I've been doing that program with non-coaches as well. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of here's what we do, here's your homework for this week, and then we deal with the brain blocks and the drama and all of that from there. So I have various coaching programs, but I prefer one-on-one. I love working with a coach one-on-one rather than group. And it's very personal because everyone's business is different. Everyone has different brain blocks. Everyone has different things. It's keeping them stuck. Everyone has different issues with trying to be themselves, right?
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all one-on-one, and I really enjoy that way
Well,
for
it's
sure.
great. So anyone listening, even in the US or
Oh yeah,
anywhere
I
in the
have
world,
many US clients.
great. We
Mhm.
can all reach out to you at contentlydriven.com and see your calendar and see your offerings and comment on if we've decided to use your mantra or not.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, fun. Well, thank you so much for joining today, Gemma. This has been a great conversation.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
What a fun interview. Thank you again so much, Gemma, for coming on today's podcast and sharing your stories and experiences. And I know everyone is curious about your book, Done with Dull. So, if you are listening right now and wondering how you can get a copy of Gemma's book, it is available on Amazon. And you can also go to the show notes for this episode at bexb.org/Gemma. That's BEXB.org/GEMMA. And if you would like to join Gemma and myself as a published author with something on Amazon, I would like to invite you to my behind the scenes create your own journal or notebook session where I will be sharing all of the information and all of the organizational tips and creation advice that I have about creating my own journal and notebook shop. So you can find more information about that event at bexb.org/let's meet. Thank you again for listening today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation, and I will talk with you next time. Bye-bye. This has been Release Your Resistance. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, make sure you're subscribed and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, think about someone who you know who would love this episode and share it with them. There should be a share button on your app if you're listening to this on your phone. If you'd like to continue this conversation one-on-one or in real time, come visit me on my site at bexb.org to see how we can work together.